All right, how are we doing, ladies and gentlemen? I hope you're having a great day. I stumbled upon an article that piqued my interest on the old Twitters, and that article was pertaining apparently the gaming industry for GTA 6 has been speculating that the game will hopefully cost $100 on launch. Now, when I read this article, I thought to myself, it's kind of a little ridiculous, we've already reached $70, $80 for a new title. I don't think $100 is a very you know good idea or a very pleasant idea on the average consumer's wallet. And that got me thinking. Now, I'm not someone, full disclosure, I'm not someone who's very interested in GTA 6. I don't think it's going to do very well. Like, it'll probably, sell a fuckload when it comes out just because it carries that GTA name. But once people actually get their hands on it, I don't think it's going to have that staying power that GTA 5 or hell, even GTA 4 had. Or hell, I think Red Dead Redemption 2 and its online component had more of a staying power. But I don't think GTA 6 is going to have that. And the reason why is just the quality of games as a whole. And the fact that we have these billion-dollar, almost billion-dollar games coming out. These companies are spending tons of money on these games. And even in Hollywood, you have companies spending millions upon billions of dollars on movies and games and TV shows with the expectation that the return on investment is going to be very high and that we're all going to be sitting there watching or playing these experiences that they made. And then, yeah, you might make a ton of money, but it's not going to be enough to cover the cost of, I don't know, 400 million or in some cases even $1 billion for something. Like, you're assuming that people are going to probably buy more than one copy of the game or go see a specific movie more than once. Like, don't get me wrong, there's movies that I've seen more than once. I mean, there's movies that I've seen fuck tons of times, like Christmas movies, for example. I've seen Home Alone a fuckload of times. But that doesn't change the fact that what matters is what you're making, close to when your product or your film or your game released. And if you didn't make a whole lot around the release date, you did make it over time, but that doesn't change the fact that you didn't make it in the time that it was a big thing. And that's my biggest concern. The fact that we have companies spending a ton of money on entertainment that will most likely, it may be good, but even if it's good, it's not going to be able to make the money that was spent on it. You have big ambitions, but the return on investment is going to be pretty low. Because even if everyone who's interested in your product wants your product or your game or your service, it's not going to be enough to cover the costs of having to make said game, product, or service. Now, with that in mind, the whole idea of execs thinking that, well, if hopefully if GTA 6 charges $100 on launch, and keep in mind this is they're hoping this is the base game. I don't know if GTA 6 is gonna have like a special edition or a day one edition or some bullshit like that. I know there's some companies that do that. They give you a day one edition that's got a couple of extra DLCs or skins or outfits or some shit just to pad out that $100 price tag. When you look on Steam and you see a new game, it comes out at 70 or even $80. If the publisher is really being greedy and they're like, no, we need to charge 80 for this. But usually it's 70. But then like, oh, there's the deluxe edition, which is 80, the special edition, which is 90, and the premium edition, which is $100. Now, I myself have been kind of guilty of spending $100 on a game, but that was Forza Horizon 5, which my actual, benefit in actually playing that amount of money for that game, now that I kind of look back on it, it was a fun game, but not maybe $100 worth of fun as a game. But that was me a couple years ago, stupidly spending $100 on a pre-order for a racing game after my experience with Forza was just Forza Horizon 4, and I enjoyed that game. But no, Horizon 5 just didn't live up to to what I was hoping. It was still fun. I could still slap Itachi on my cars and drive around Mexico and ram into every single tree and building in the way because obviously I drive like a reckless maniac in the games. But the issue is still, would you want to spend $100 on just the base game of something? Would you want to spend extra for something that a couple years ago would have just been $60, or in the case of a movie ticket would have been, way less? And you're getting a product that may or may not be good. In the case of how the modern gaming and entertainment industry as a whole is just going, where things have been going on a pretty downward rapid decline, like the quality we're getting is just not good. Now, you can attribute this to executives pushing more of their brainless ideas of like, well, this has to sell, or we did analysis, we looked at the charts, and we think that if we steer this way, we can sell more products, especially if it's like a PG-13 movie or a PG movie. Maybe we can sell like a toy line or a merchandise line. It's always got to be about the merchandising. In gaming, it's always got to be how much more DLC can you push out? How much more microtransactions can you get out there? That's why games like Warzone or like Fortnite always try and go hard on the microtransactions. In their case, at least, they're free to play games. You gotta make the money for the development costs of the game when the game doesn't cost a cent to play. But then you have cases of like the yearly releases of Call of Duty, or the yearly releases of the sports titles like NBA 2K and Madden, and FIFA, or I guess EA Sports FC or whatever the fuck they call it now. You have these yearly releases where you gotta spend $70 to $80 on the new title, and then they want you to break out your wallet and spend more because they just need more of that money because Lord knows how much was spent for the development cost. My issue here is if I don't think GTA 6 will cost $100 on launch. God, I hope not. It'll probably be a standard $70. But the fact that there's execs that are floating the idea of, hopefully Rockstar charges $100 for GTA 6 and it does well because then the rest of us can pull the same bullshit with our crappy titles. Like I said before, I don't think GTA 6 is going to be as good as what it's being hyped up to be. I get the hype for it because, it's been a while since we've had a GTA title, but I don't think GTA 6 is just going to be good. I think it's going to probably be entertaining for the first couple of days because there's always that honeymoon phase with a new game, especially a Grand Theft Auto game. I remember GTA 5 had that, but GTA 5, like I said, had that staying power. My apologies. Had that staying power to it. And if it's got the staying power, then clearly the game lasts a while. And then, GTA Online goes on for years and years on end, but I don't think GTA 6 is going to do it. Especially with a lot of the staff who's worked on previous Rockstar titles, none of them are going to be involved in this game. So, as a consumer myself, as a gamer, why on earth would I want to, partake in this? Fortunately, that game's not going to come out on PC for quite some time. It's going to be pushed first on PS5 and Series X, if I recall correctly. So, their experience with it, if it's good, then hey, I'd love to be proven wrong. I don't want to be proven right in this case, because if I am proven right, then that's going to be one hell of a waste of money for Rockstar. And it's going to go back to what we've always said with games that cost millions upon billions of dollars to make and don't make back enough money to pay back all that was spent on the game. I don't like the idea of so much money being put into the entertainment industry. I know that ambitions are high and you got to make the next big thing, and it's like an arms race to see how much you can spend, see how much more gigantic the scale of your product or your game or your movie is going to be. But if the scale is so huge and nobody gives a shit about it, you're going to end up like that one guy that one dude on Smiling Friends who said, we spent over $250 million on this. Why is no one like it? Well, you could spend all the money in the world, but it's not going to change the fact that nobody likes what you made. It's like, I don't know I'm going to sound like one of those grifters on the internet when I say this, But in a part, the whole culture war thing, the whole woke mob mentality, and all that does play some kind of a role in the decline of entertainment. But also just the insane amount of money being spent. You spend all this money and resources, you take a huge gamble on your product, and your product ends up flopping. Then what do? You pull off something like a Concorde and probably have to write it as a tax write-off or something, just to at least ease the burn of having lost like 400 million, I think it was, that was spent on that game. It, when at some point is it going to end? Is what I'm wondering. Like, I don't want the industry to collapse. I mean, maybe not so much in the case of the AAA industry, because the AAA gaming industry has been ass for the last couple of years. I mean, we're already witnessing Ubisoft on a rapid decline. Once Assassin's Creed Shadows, which I'm almost certain is going to flop, comes out, that's pretty much the final nail in the coffin for Ubisoft. So they're going to get probably bought out by somebody. Probably some sort of Chinese company is going to buy them out, maybe. At least that's what I've been hearing. But at some point, we gotta sit for a moment and think to ourselves: especially specifically the AAA developers and the large companies for entertainment. At some point, you gotta sit and ask yourself: is all this money really worth spending on something that will is it really worth taking such a huge gamble on a 50-50 chance that maybe you may end up with, a unicorn, or maybe you end up with just absolute dog shit? Another thing that comes to mind for me is Spider-Man 2, because when that game came out, it had a huge budget, and it was a great game. It looks good, plays good, sounds good, was nominated for several different awards, but it didn't change the fact that the game did not make the amount of money that was spent on it. And for a company, that's a bit frustrating, because again, you bought all these resources, you spent all this time, especially with AAA games taking like 7 to 8 years to make. 7 to 8 years, $400 plus million dollars, and while the end result is, an amazing product, if people didn't buy it because not a lot of people were interested in the game because it just didn't, pique their interest, what are you going to do? You spent all the money, and now you didn't make all of it back, and then some. Because that's the main goal. That's why the indie scene has been doing so well. Because a lot of these games don't cost a lot to make. A lot of smaller scale film projects, smaller scale TV shows, a lot of things like these. Smaller scale entertainment with smaller budgets. Like, you'd be surprised what people can do when they have a very small, constrained budget. Obviously, you can't work with like $5 or $10 to make something, but you'd be surprised what people can make when they have limited resources. And it's these limited resource products and entertainment and services and films and TV shows and games that end up being, the big, amazing top sellers. Because you don't expect something insane from something with such a small budget. You don't expect the little guy to be able to make the big leap forward and wow thousands of people and hundreds of audience, like thousands upon, like not just thousands, like millions of audience members. You just don't expect it. And for me personally, I expect a crash to happen again in the industry, in the gaming industry. I mean, I wasn't around for the first crash, but I genuinely don't think there's going to be a crash in the sense of like an actual hard crash where the industry is just dead. Because again, there is the indie scene, and that holds things up. And nowadays, a lot of people just don't give a shit about new games or just new films or TV shows or music in general. Maybe music to a lesser extent. Some people sort of still give a shit. But for TV, movies, games, in the modern day, most people just tend to go back to the old stuff. The stuff that made us feel better. Stuff that made us happy, that actually entertained us. Stuff that actually had heart and soul poured into it. And I think that's my biggest issue with modern day entertainment. And just modern day gaming, modern day TV, modern day just anything. It's the lack of passion, the lack of drive to actually do it. To actually want to put out something that you poured your heart and soul into, and it cost a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. Hopefully not blood literally, but it cost a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. And you created something that you look at and you're like, damn, bro, I'm proud of what I made. Because if you don't have passion or heart and soul put into what it is you're doing, then why the hell are you even doing what you're doing? And that's something that I guess I ask that to myself when I'm making something. Like like this video that I'm making, even if for me this is like, it feels like a throwaway video for me. I'm just bored sitting in front of my mic, just rambling on. I at least know that, I don't want to put out something that's absolute dog shit out there. Like, to put out absolute YouTube slop or something, it doesn't feel, I don't know, it doesn't feel fulfilling. And going back to entertainment, if you're putting out content, or you're putting out, a product or a service that just feels artificially manufactured, and you're expecting, and you're pouring out and you're pouring out tons of resources into said product or service, and your product or service just doesn't catch anyone's attention because, yeah, we can see it, you spend a lot on it, you got a lot of resources for it, but where's the drive? Where's the passion? As that one fish in SpongeBob said, where's the pizzazz? What's the theme here? Underwater? It's boring. And genuinely, it is boring. Like, yeah, cool, you have your pretty looking game, and it's great that games look more realistic. It's great that movies have cooler looking special effects. It's great that, TV shows are having these high budgets and these insane set pieces and all that, but what's the point of everything being bigger and fancier looking and more expensive if it just doesn't feel genuine? It feels soulless. It feels corporate. And if they're going to be asking for a game like GTA 6, which I genuinely, I want to be proven wrong, but I genuinely don't think GTA 6 is going to be a very successful GTA down the road. It'll probably sell like hotcakes, but then after some time passes, people might start realizing, this isn't really what I was hoping for. Like, this isn't really what I thought it would be. And that's my biggest concern. Again, I want to be proven wrong on that, and I want to see the game succeed, obviously, but if it's not going to, if it doesn't live up to expectations, and from what I'm hearing, the game has an insanely high budget, but it's not able to make back that insanely high budget like GTA 5 did, that to me is going to be probably the big indicator that I think the AAA industry is pretty much dead. Like no one's going to actually take interest in the big dogs or the big AAA industry games if, there's nothing to look forward to. It's all just slop, and the slop isn't really, entertaining, and it's not really good slop. It's just slop. It's just, mishmashed together. I mean, nowadays you got AI generated crap flooding the market. Stuff like Call of Duty has company mandated AI microtransactions. Now with the whole rise of AI, and they're asking us for $100 probably. That's what the execs want, $100 for a game, and that game probably had some level of artificial intelligence used, depending if it was made by somebody like Activision or hell, even somebody maybe like EA. Even if EA's not using it right now, deep down they would definitely want to use AI. Activision's already been pretty open about it. Well, not open about it, but it was pretty much an internal memo leaked to the public that, yeah, we're using AI to make cosmetics. And you want us to pay for this shit? You want us to pay $100 for a game that could contain all this? Like, even if GTA 6 doesn't contain all this, what's not to say that the next Call of Duty, which is definitely going to contain AI, who the hell is going to pay $100 for this when most of the game had no heart and soul poured into it? It had no human factor to it. It was just a machine. It was a machine handled by machine-minded people churning out a machine-like product. It's just, if you could take the color gray, that's the best way I could use to describe entertainment these days. It's just gray. It's not It's not colorful. It's not full of life. And that to me is, I think, what makes me the most annoyed about the modern gaming industry and the modern entertainment industry as a whole. When I was younger, I remember what I enjoyed when I was little. And I still go back to what I enjoyed when I was little, because what we had when I was younger, back in the 2000s, was pretty much what I would consider the golden age of entertainment. And I'm sure some people would disagree with me and say, oh, the 1980s or the 1990s were the golden age of entertainment. And I guess you have a fair, and valid argument to make in that sense. But if we can agree on one thing, it's that in the modern day we are not in a golden age, not even in a bronze age of entertainment. It's just an age. It's not a good age, but it's an age of something. Maybe 10 years from now we'll look back on this and laugh when we realize that this was a period of time that we experienced, because at some point entertainment should hopefully improve, and we won't be overcharged for crap products that cost tons of money to make. Maybe that might change, because at some point in the 20th century that was the case with different industries, and eventually they did rebound and get to a better position in their existence. And I think gaming is honestly going through that. Maybe by the end of the 2020s it won't be such a clusterfuck mishmash of tons of money being thrown around like a bunch of pervs at a strip club throwing their singles at the cheap hookers on the stage. It won't be like that anymore, hopefully, in 10 years. Maybe then we'll get, games with a passion again, with a soul put into them, instead of just gray, generic-looking slop that probably had a machine behind its creation. Anyways, that's my ramble for today. I hope you enjoyed. Gotta think of a good title for this video. You'll probably see the title for this once this is up on YouTube. Yeah, if you have any opinions on anything, just comment down below, whether you liked it or you didn't like it. And I will see y'all next time. Peace.